I have a problem, and if you're anything like me, you probably do too. The list of good pirate games is awfully short, and the ones that do hit the mark are very specific with their focus. Sea of Thieves for its multiplayer, Ship Battles for Skull and Bones, Monkey Island for a whimsical adventure. They're fun, but they only scratch the surface of what makes the golden age of piracy so fascinating. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is the closest one to fully capturing that magic, but it's really held back from its full potential by being an Assassin's Creed game at heart. None of these really encompass the great pirate era as a whole for all it's worth. Except for one. Let me introduce to you Sid Meier's Pirates. First releasing in 1987, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill pirate game. This is the ultimate pirate experience. Sword fights, treasure hunts, trading, naval battles, resource management, romance, it's all here. Designed with the freedom of creating your own adventures and executed with an addictive gameplay loop that makes it hard to put down. I've spent months diving into all three versions of this game, each one building on the last. In this video, we're going to explore what you can do, how it all works, so you can jump straight in and discover the magic for yourself of why Sid Meier's Pirates is a true pirate adventure. But before the game was such a timeless classic, it started as a gamble. After all, this was 1986, and Sid Meier wasn't the civilization legend we know today. He was a co-founder of Microprose, an up-and-coming star in the industry for always pushing beyond the limitations of systems with their simulation games.
Microprose was the first ones to do real combat flying simulation.
Some of these games include F-15 Strike Eagle, Gunship, and Silent Service. With Microprose gaining a name for itself as the best in the simulation genre, Sid Meier grew bored. He wanted to show off Microprose's versatility and apply their experience in detailed and mechanical simulator games to create an adventure game that no one has seen before.
And this is not the neatest office in the world, but that's Mr. Sid Meier. Sid, can you say hello to our friends out there in Cameron?
Hi out there to my friends in California. How are you doing today?
Sid is the author of Silent Service and F-15 Strike Eagle, and I'll let you guess what his next product is.
Not just any adventure game like his previous game Floyd of the Jungle, but an open world RPG where the player called the shots. He grew frustrated with the text-based adventure games of the time, giving players such dull choices that led nowhere. He wanted to cut out all the fluff and just have all the exciting parts of a pirate adventure. A game where there are no wrong answers, and no matter what you're doing, you're having fun. And in 1987, that game would eventually become Sid Meier's Pirates, with the idea from the great Robin Williams to put Sid's name on the box, which then later would become his iconic trademark. Initially releasing on the Commodore 64, a home computing system with a game library mainly consisting of simple platformers and arcade-like titles. Its release came with an 80-plus page manual on how everything works in the game. Things like historical references, each ship's best point of sailing, all its mechanics, and a lot more. Besides the very important explanations written in the manual, the game is actually unplayable without it. The game had a unique form of copyright protection, which upon starting the game, you're asked a question with a particular answer only found in a dusty old manual from 1987. If you answer wrong, the game tells you that they know the sins that you have committed by not having the manual, but lets you continue as normal. Or so you think. After creating your character, the whole game is against you in every way. Governors hate you, nobody wants to join your crew, towns just open fire at you upon entry, and the game just basically bullies you until you stop playing. So, I guess a pretty realistic pirate experience. Before you set sail, you gotta create your pirate. First, you'll choose a starting era and a nationality, which really tie in together and have a big effect on the game. The different eras set the tone of the current political climate during that time, which, depending on your chosen nationality, could aid you greatly or become a living hell. Just like the waves, this was a constantly ever-changing time in the Caribbean where old powers would fall and newcomers would rise, all in the search of golden opportunities that the sea had to offer. But once you progress enough through the game, you'll be screwing over every nation equally, so don't think too hard about your nationality. You also have the choice of a specific skill that will give you an advantage in that area. Fencing, sailing, gunnery, medicine, or even wit and charm if your one piece is the G-spot. Your difficulty options are in the form of starting rank, which will affect how hard life on the sea will be. Higher ranks mean tougher enemies and shittier crews, but bigger rewards. And throughout the game, you'll have opportunities to raise or lower this as you go. A difficulty system less about punishing yourself for that oh so precious achievement, and instead one that actually rewards you for the extra challenges you will face. Although,
not all treasure is silver and gold, mate.
The underlying goal and direction in this game is all about attaining the most prosperous career you can possibly have in a limited time run. To do so, you will need to pull all the strings available to you. Working with all 4 nations and crossing them all in advantageous ways will be a main focal point in your pursuit of each nation's 5 military ranks and then an additional 4 ranks of nobility. Attaining a wife, acquiring land, and of course, having a Scrooge McDuck-sized fortune. All that, and with enough life left in you to enjoy retirement and land a proper profession, which is determined by your final score. You can end up as a lowly beggar, or even rise to become the king's advisor, which is quite the difference. To work towards those long-term goals, you'll go on expeditions of your own design with the fleet of ships and crew you try to build. Whether that is a treasure hunt, robbing merchantmen, hunting other pirates, plundering entire cities, or even for personal matters like finding a lost relative. All while walking a fine line between coming home with the world's riches or less than you started with. A good start would be gathering your crew and see what's going down on the seas. A quick chat with the governor can tell you who they are at war with and can even give you a letter of marque, basically saying, feel free to kill anyone bearing the enemy's flag in the name of your country. Neat! Hitting up the tavern, you can find impressionable and easily manipulated men to sail under your flag that has 0 reputation. And you may also find some valuable things for sale, like a treasure map or important info about a random port town. Merchants are also available, but may be wary selling to a pirate like you, given that, you know, you're a pirate and all, who frequently robs merchants and throws them into the sea. But other than that, I don't get their prejudice. When you can trade with them, this is where you make the big bucks. Prices vary with each port and change throughout the times. You may even want to dedicate your career to buying low and selling high across the Caribbean. Shit, that's just a regular merchant. Well, you can kill a few people on the way, how about that? Time to sail out of port with big dreams, a fresh crew, and enjoy it while there's still a glimmer of ignorant bliss in your eye and nothing in your way. Well, except your limited food stores, convincing your crew not to mutiny. Oh, and the wind only ever blowing from the east? Seriously, look it up. It's a real thing in the Caribbean and a bitch to sail with in this game. There are 9 different ship types in this game, all with their own stats, capacity, and best point of sailing, which is their max speed. But for the most part, sailing directly into the wind's eye is always the slowest. Traveling with the wind coming diagonally from the rear is usually the fastest. When looking for something specific, the game stays true to life. What the hell is an active minimap? Oh, you must mean taking a sun sight. No? Well, that's what we've got. A real maritime method used for estimating your lateral position while at sea. Using an instrument called an astrolabe, stare at the sun until it reaches its highest position. If there isn't a gaping hole through your retinas, position that sighting platform just under the sun, and now you'll get your approximate lateral position. Alright, so I'm 26 degrees north of the equator, so that means we could be anywhere from here and here. Great. To get an idea of your longitude, you can use something called Dead Reckoning, which you'll only get if you have an expert sailing master aboard. So have a good idea of where you are when you leave port, so you have a good reference. While you're sailing in the open sea, you may spot a ship on the horizon. Your crew will identify the type of vessel and what color she bears. You can then choose to sail away, hail for news to see the latest drama while you've been away, or attack it, which then leads into ship combat. When choosing to terrorize your fellow man on the sea, some things need to be thought of ahead of time. Your crew's size and morale all factor in. It takes 4 of your men to operate 1 gun, and a happy crew loads faster than an unhappy one. Nothing's worse than waiting 10 seconds on a reload just to miss. So if you're dragging your crew into tireless battles when they all just want to split the plunder and go home, you may not be going home at all. Enemy reload speed depends on the quality of their crew, with warships and pirates being more prepared and organized than a drifting merchant. Also, a reload is temporarily stopped if you change your sails, because the gun crews are needed to deal with the sails. Oh, you thought this was a game where you can mash buttons? No, this is a real crew who have feelings and need organized leadership. If you decide that the battle is too much for your crew to handle, you can try and sail away with your tail between your legs. But doing so means acquiring enough distance from your enemy, which could be an even greater challenge. Gaining distance also means going fast, and going fast means setting your sails to full, which makes you vulnerable to damage directly to your sails. And without your sails, you'll be going the opposite of fast. You won't be moving at all. Sometimes the best move might be to board the ship where an all-out war on the enemy's deck erupts. Choosing your weapon determines your strategy for the fight. A rapier, a cutlass, or a longsword, all designed for a different playstyle. During a duel, there are 3 stances of high, mid, and low. Not only will you constantly need to throw your opponent off with different angled attacks, but you'll also need to block incoming attacks with equal height. This back and forth of reading your opponent and quickly reacting to every move, trying to find an opening while also blocking their attacks, winning the fight isn't with simple health bars either. Just like ship battles, the advantage depends on morale and crew count. While you're fighting the leader, a battle is raging on around you, and your crew is suffering casualties and trying to find the courage just to continue. Striking the enemy captain lowers his crew's morale, while getting hit weakens yours. A larger crew can deal more damage, but low morale can cause them to dwindle even if they outnumber you. It's like a combo count where the higher you land uninterrupted hits, the more critical damage you deal, and the number of men could be seen as your overall health. The fight ends when one gets enough hits on the other while their crew is in panicking, or when you've reduced the enemy to just one remaining man. It's this constant battle of tug of war where these unique replacements for health bars make sure anything can happen during a fight. If you lose, you might lose your ship, be sent to prison, or even get marooned for months, dropping your rank and wasting valuable time. Winning, however, means it's plunder time, baby. You can strip a ship of its resources or add it to your fleet, although having a bigger fleet will slow your flagship down, and if you're heading east, that's the last thing you want to deal with. So that's the basic loop. Sail, fight, trade, and climb the political ladder. And while it sounds simple enough, no 2 games play out the same, and there are many ways to lose a big gamble. After a few successful merchant raids, you'll want to know when to call it a day and head back to port to sell your goods and divide the plunder with the crew. Dragging your crew through enough fruitless endeavors may result in a mutiny or some of your crew ditching you at the next port. Dividing the plunder not only disperses the gold, but also gives you a fresh start for a new expedition, leaving only you and your flagship. Now that you've got some coin, you may also consider thinking about your next big move. There may be someone selling a treasure map that could reap big rewards for little to no risk. But you may also find someone selling info about a certain port town that may or may not be a worthy target. Setting your sights on plundering an entire town is a big task and requires some initial planning for things to go in your favor. Towns have economic ranks that fluctuate based on the in-game world events. A struggling town may not have a lot to offer in terms of plunder, but they are easy to do business with, while prosperous ones attract more people and riches, but have stronger defenses. Events like native raids, pirate attacks, or even disease can weaken a town's defenses or population, which may benefit you depending on your plans. Keeping an eye on these events in the news can be a good way to turn bad news for them into a golden opportunity for you. When choosing to attack a town from sea, you and your crew on your flagship will have to sail through a storm of cannon fire until you reach the town. Just a few hits from these bad boys may be enough to sink you right then and there, but it's an effective way to weaken their defenses before sailing near the town and making your final strike in land combat. A real-time strategy event where you control your entire crew in a pursuit of reaching the enemy's fort. While the enemy's advancing with their troops and cavalry, you'll need to think like the mischievous pirate you are and use your troops and the terrain to your advantage to limit casualties and manage morale. Station your muskets to support your troops clashing to the death, or have a group trudge through the nearby forest to stay hidden to execute a surprise attack when the enemy expects it least. This can be a tough and intensive battle that only skill and a little bit of wit can save you from packing home real quick. If you reach the town, you may have one more crucial duel to win with the men you have left. If you succeed in all your efforts, the town and all its treasure will be yours for the taking. If you're lucky, as after all the ruckus you've caused, they may have had a little hunch you wanted the gold and hid it away. The pirate's life for me, right? But look at everything we have here. This is a game from 1987. Look how much it offers a unique and addictive gameplay experience, not only compared to the games at the time, but also a lot of games today. Endless replayability and a sea of possibilities to discover and experience all the highs and lows of a true pirate adventure. All these intricate and detailed mechanics on what looks on the surface to just be a simple primitive pirate game really paved the path and did the heavy lifting for its future titles. So much so that the future installments are really just glorified remasters, adding a much needed coat of paint and enhancements. The first of them being Pirate's Gold. Releasing in 1993 on many computers at the time, this version saw a heap of new graphics and major improvements from its predecessor. It acted a lot like a 90s point-and-click game, and it had beautiful illustrations to fit the aesthetic. Although, there was a particular port of Pirate's Gold that I'd like to focus on in this video. That being specifically the Sega Genesis version. This game really took the original Pirates and turned it into the game it was always meant to become, if not for the hardware limitations at the time. Take everything we've talked about from the original, but now replace this with this. Ah, now we're talking. The big, bright, bold colors. The detailed and animated sprites, the soundtrack, oh god, the soundtrack. You know, they did actually have a go at something like this before when Rare developed an NES port for the original game, back when they were a dungeon developer for Nintendo. Fun fact, does this song sound familiar? Well, any Donkey Kong Country fans may have perked their little ears because it sounds an awful lot like Gangplank Galleon. And even though not credited, David Wise has confirmed to composing the game's soundtrack. And this little title theme may have been the little seedling that grew into such an iconic song. I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, they did a pretty good job for what they had at the time, and it was more advanced than the C64 version, given that it was released a few years later in 1991, but it still wasn't quite there yet. But just 2 years after that, Pirate's Gold was released in 1993, and it looks like this. Crazy what a 2-year difference can make back then. But this version went a bit further than just fancy Genesis visuals. There's a brand new UI, a charming pause screen with clear and approachable information. There's all these nice little touches of life in the game. During ship battles, you get a visual image of what shape both ships are in. It can be a nice indicator in the heat of battle compared to the original. Why am I not moving? Oh. You can actually walk around the port and visit the different locations. When you come back from a trip at sea, you can talk to the barkeeper about your latest haul. And to divide the plunder, you'll need to go to a legit bank and settle your score like adults. As far as gameplay goes, everything is smoother. Ship battles, land combat, sailing, and even duels, and you can even play them on demand from the menu for a quick whoever loses does the dishes match with your siblings. A parry button was added, so it does make dueling a little bit easier, removing the difficulty of exactly matching your opponent's strikes from the original game. The trading system saw an upgrade with additional goods and more dynamic price fluctuations, so all you legally abiding pirates get a little bit more of a rewarding experience. Oh wait, the game actually sheds some light in the manual saying it's virtually impossible to keep a large crew happy by honest work. And no matter how low the price, you won't make as much money as you would if you stole the goods rather than if you paid for them. So there's a good few pieces of advice that you can bring into your own life. I hope you saved your eyeballs, cause no more sun sights. We've got an active map that you can see where you are at all times and see every port with all the info you have on them. But perhaps the most influential change featured in the Genesis version were the 10 Great Pirate Quests. A secret list of quests where one is only revealed once you've completed it. You can have a great pirate career without discovering them, but there's a fat bonus if you complete all 10. I think this is a really cool and welcomed addition that this version brings, and the experimentation required to discovering each one really adds to the overall replay value if you didn't think it had enough already. Pirates Gold is the accumulation of what the original Pirates was always meant to be. It's the same game, just with an overall more approachable and enjoyable execution. The smoother gameplay, the little touches of life, the soundtrack make the differences night and day compared to the original. But it's important not to forget that this version is built off of the back of what came before it on much weaker hardware. And because of that fact, the original and all it built is still worth experiencing today and shouldn't be locked in the brig.
Arg, I'm in the brig.
But having all that potential unleashed in a nice, easily accessible, wrapped up package suitable for the living room TV for all to enjoy is what makes Pirates Gold on Sega Genesis such a worthy upgrade. But with a remaster that checks all the boxes, how could the game possibly improve? One word: innovation. And that brings us to the final and most modern version that people are most familiar with. Sid Meier's Pirates Live the Life. The reason I spent time already comparing the previous two with each other is because I'd argue this one feels more or less like a full-blown sequel than just a remaster. Initially releasing in 2004 for Windows and then later ported for a handful of devices, Sid Meier's Pirates Live the Life truly reinvented itself with a 3D graphics overhaul, entirely brand new gameplay elements, and a new cheeky pirate fantasy vibe that resembles something straight out of the Monkey Island series. This version really captures that entire image of what the pirate fantasy is all about. Beginning the game with fully animated cutscenes, you see how much went into this game and how its 3D landscape does it so much justice. Instead of the game telling you about the world, you can now see it for yourself in real time. It's living, breathing, waves crashing, other ships sailing by, the sound of your crew hard at work. You can even design your own Jolly Roger to sail behind. And there's even mods to let you change your character's appearance or sail in a different part of the world. While Pirates Gold let you walk around the port, here you can actually visit these places with full animations and personality. Meeting with each governor feels much more personal. The tavern now acts as a point-and-click menu with the addition of a barmaid and a barkeep who both provide information, and also the return of the mysterious traveler, but this time, he also sells special items. These newly introduced items give you additional buffs in various aspects of the game that far precede the singular skill you chose when starting your career, such as the fake mustache, which allows you to trade with weary merchants more easily, a ruby ring to more easily swoon the ladies, or even a signal mirror that will shorten the time you're marooned on an island, if it comes down to it. Shipwrights also see a major upgrade. Beyond basic repairs, they now specialize in certain upgrades like copper plating for better turning, or cotton sails for increased speed, but each shipwright only specializes in one particular upgrade. All the more reason why exploring and finding different ports are essential towards building a stronger fleet. But to explore requires getting a new grip on sailing, and it feels brand new and buttery smooth. Once on the seas, you've got a good amount of info on the HUD that makes it easy to keep tabs on important info. With sailing being a main, necessary component of this game, having it feel this good in a 3D space is such a treat. And as you might expect, this also pleasantly transitions well into ship combat, with the ability to maneuver in ways that were previously impossible. Each vessel has its own number for the minimum crew needed to operate and sail at full speed. So during battles, you'll just suffer from long reload speeds if you're short men, instead of the cannon not firing at all. This is a nice change that makes gameplay feel a bit more forgiving. Along with the usual broadsides, you can now upgrade your vessel to supply chain shots that do direct damage to the enemy sails, and grape shots to lower the enemy's crew count. And depending on the scenario, it's now possible to have multiple ships attacking you at once. And to top this all off, the potential of this ship combat isn't wasted. As a sort of replacement for on-demand dueling in Pirates Gold on the Genesis, for the Xbox version, you can have on-demand ship battles with local co-op and up to 4 players. The Xbox version is still easily available for digital download on the Microsoft Store, and it's compatible with modern Xbox consoles, and I bought it specifically for that reason. Dueling is more or less the same at its core, but with a whole new cinematic approach. It plays out a little more like a rock, paper, scissors match, with each fighter clinging and clanging for a few beats and then doing an action. Along with the addition of a very clear advantage bar, you can now also win landing enough blows in a row to force the captain off the ship, in addition to the usual surrender. This brings a much more apparent tug of war to the battle that can end early with a big enough combo. Different playstyle and different strategies in place, but I will say I do miss having more control of your actions like in the previous titles. Once you get over how nice it is to sail, there are some new locations to visit. Native villages can sell goods for cheap, but you can also request them to attack certain towns, lowering their population. All you have to do is just say the word on which each nation's closest ports to attack and reap the rewards. But in typical pirate fashion, you can also attack the war canoes at sea and then sail to the port yourself to collect promotions for removing native threats. Ooh, how devious. Jesuit missions are a neutral location who are historically there to try to convert the natives to Christianity. You can sell food for a high price. They also can provide some escort missions that help with reputation for the relative nation. There's also pirate havens, a port with all services for pirates run by other pirates. This can be a good place to convince the head pirate to attack a certain city and lower its defenses. Or you may even find a top pirate lurking around, such as Blackbeard. Zee-ha-ha-ha-ha! No better way in this game to show you're the best than by beating the rest. A rewarding challenge of reaching your way to the top of the list by defeating each real historical pirate that's depicted. This can be a great way to get huge reputation bonuses for your career and even better for filling your pockets with their fortune. The higher they are on the list, the stronger the pirate is and their fleet. So before you go seeking out the top pirate in your sloop with your crew of 20, be prepared for a fully upgraded ship with a skilled crew to face. Even if you try to cheese it and board them instantly, the top pirate is skilled in a duel with special items equipped. And losing that duel can be quite a humbling experience that could land you in a jail cell. Luckily, there's now a chance to reduce your sentence by choosing to sneak out of town in the middle of the night. Guards can hear you when you run, so you have to use buildings as cover or jump a fence to get around them. Once sighted, an alarm will sound off and the whole town will try to corner you until you try to surrender. When you're running out of options, you can hide in the hay bales laying around, or even knock out a guard from behind if you think you can get away with it. If you manage to outwit them, you can still make it out by the skin of your teeth. Reaching your crew from the outside of town will complete your objective, but getting caught could land you in a whole lot more time in the gutter. You can also do this to sneak into a hostile town. Instead of leaving the town, you'll have to navigate to the tavern or the governor's mansion without being caught. But if you're trying to get a scandalous quickie from the governor's daughter, you're gonna need to work for it this time. When meeting the governor's daughter, she may now invite you for a good old ballroom dance where you, a seafaring pirate, will need to keep in time with the music and follow a choreograph. A song will play, and without any assists or large indicators, you must move in time with the music as suggested by your partner. All you have to do is just look at Whoa. I mean, you just have to focus on her. Fuck! Okay, look at the hand. The hand! Where she'll tell you to point in a direction to go and you'll have like a second to react. If you not only go in the right direction, but on beat, you'll do a little flourish just to flex on the hose. If you manage to impress the governor's daughter enough throughout the event, she may even give you some delicate intel, or offer you a gift like a puffy shirt, but I don't want to be a pirate. The only thing this version of the game has completely removed from previous titles is ship versus land combat when attacking cities. This does make sense because it always was a little strange that you enter port to initiate the fight, only for it to start with the city attacking you while you're at sea. Instead, choosing to attack a city will automatically enter land combat, which has changed from an RTS format to a turn-based one that somewhat resembles a land battle from the Civilization series. with a large range of buffs and debuffs applied, like terrain, morale, land height, and even which way a party is facing before an attack. This adds a much more strategic layer to land battles. But just as before, you only need one party to reach the city to proceed, so it can be a bit more challenging to run straight for the objective this time. 2004's Sid Meier's Pirates: Live the Life is an excellent addition to the many versions of Sid Meier's Pirates. Yes, it's easy to win people over with the 3D graphics, which brings so much life to the game and in a lot of examples actually enhances the gameplay tremendously. But they also took the liberty of completely adding new features and reimagined the whole game's vision without completely disregarding the depth and freedom of the original. After discussing all three games, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on what makes these pirate games so great and why they really hit the mark. As may be apparent from all of his other work, Sid Meier seems to create a game first, then adds a theme on top of it. The intricate inner workings of the game design is the underlying key to success in all games, and it's something that many may not see, but every player feels. The longer I've been playing games, the more it feels like games have to reel me in more than ever nowadays. And yes, I am a big pirate fan, and that's what initially drew me to the game, but what made me stay was its game design. So many games have a great idea and good gameplay, but in my eyes, spend little time thinking about the inevitable end result that this will all eventually come down to for the player: the gameplay loop. And there are three big factors of why I think Sid Meier's Pirates has an airtight gameplay loop. The first being the arcade-like approach, a game design philosophy literally designed to keep players pushing quarters into the arcade cabinets like it's a slot machine. The crucial turning point in this game's design is that instead of enjoying a fun pirate adventure with some minigames, you're competing for the best possible score, which gives the player a reason to play it over and over again without dreading that feeling that you're retreading old waters. The second factor is the one more turn effect that Sid Meier is so famous for, but I guess in this instance it would be one more time. The man explains when analyzing the phenomenon from Civ 1,
the game giving you short-term and medium-term and long-term goals that were all kind of in your mind at one time. And you might complete a short-term goal, but bang, another short-term goal popped up, and you're still working on this medium-term goal. And there was never a time in the game where you were kind of had completed everything that you wanted to do.
Although this was said in regards to Civilization, I feel the same points apply here as well. It strikes a perfect balance of having all this work, but it was containable enough to stay in your mind at one time. Even when becoming the best pirate is the first thing on your mind, the process is so positively addicting that you lose sight of your original goal because you're busy managing so many things. But when things go your way all the time, you lose a sense of challenge. That's where the third factor comes in: limited time. Your pirate career doesn't last forever. Every year that passes by inches you closer to retirement, making every decision feel important. To become the best or even grow from the standard apprentice title, you're gonna have to gamble everything you've achieved in every moment. Play things too slow and safe, and you run out of time to get anywhere. Run into big challenges unprepared, and just a simple defeat can send you home with less than you came out to sea with. But the clock is always ticking. You may only sail for 5 real-time minutes, but if you end up empty-handed, that is months in-game wasted of your valuable time. There's this delicate balance of not wanting, but needing to score big to make up for lost time, but also knowing that your lost time has made the risk of losing all you've achieved that much greater. High risk, high reward. A game where you turn it on for the highest score, get lost managing so many things towards your goals that keep you playing, and even when you do fail and things seem hopeless after losing it all, you're driven forward to keep going because the career time limit gives you that feeling of zero acceptable downtime. Most would likely say that Sid Meier's Pirates: Live the Life is the pinnacle of the series. But as much as I'm tempted to agree, I have a hard time sitting with that statement. This version is the most available version of Sid Meier's Pirates to play today, but we just went over 3 completely different versions that all really bring something unique to the table. Yes, even you, Pirates C64. And Sid Meier's Pirates: Live the Life isn't without its own flaws as well. With this brand new buccaneering vision they had for Live the Life, there also comes a point, as mentioned before, where it feels like its own thing. While most additions and changes are for the better, there are some that do change gameplay on a core level that may not be for everyone, such as the addition of special items. It's nice to feel like you get stronger as your journey continues, but this also brings up the issue of the game feeling too easy for some. It changes the original approach of you becoming the better pirate over the course of your journey, not the game making you one. But again, that may not be a huge focus for some, and it shows how each game really does offer their own experience. The original Sid Meier's Pirates brings a raw and grounded take with the objective of reaching that high score. Pirates Gold on Sega Genesis sticking to those ideals, but making it a more smooth, approachable, and imaginative experience, perfect for a living room TV, but still feeling grounded during its core gameplay. And Sid Meier's Pirates Live the Life, while still the same game at its roots, took the original idea and reinvented itself by not just having the incentive of a high score to achieve, but having a big focus on having a fun, witty, storybook pirate adventure along the way. Even after so many years since its latest release, they still offer such a rich pirate experience that you just can't seem to get anywhere, even today. I hope that I have shown how wonderful these games are and have proved that they are well worth still enjoying. And I wouldn't be the first to say it, but I think there are more than enough reasons for a modern release or even a full sequel to come out. The closest thing we currently have today as of writing this video is the Civilization VI Pirates scenario. A turn-based online game mode where in 60 turns you must pillage the seas, increase the size of your fleet, and hunt for treasure, all in the pursuit of having the highest score. Sound familiar? You can choose one of 4 different pirate factions that aid different playstyles, and there's even CPU nations that have port towns to raid and merchants sailing along trade routes to plunder. High score, one more turn effect, and a limited time, but now with the addition of competing against other players, which can also be a setup as bots to play as solo. While not technically a sequel, this actually does serve as a tiny taste of what it would look like. And with the added addition of competition against other players while on your journey and fighting each other to survive, it's just so great. But now imagine for a second, take this game mode out of Civ 6, build upon it as a standalone game, adding all the features and charming qualities of the originals, dueling, romance, politics, trading, and expanding upon those ideas with even more impactful choices and adding even more ways to become the pirate you want to be. Ah, I see, lads. I can smell the salt from the sea, and it's calling to me. It's saying, one more turn. And while Sid Meier's Pirates isn't a perfect game, it is what I'd call a true pirate adventure. Thanks for watching.